think NBA YoungBoy might be the biggest rapper. I said that 5 years ago.
What you mean big when you say big?
Ain't no gonna be bigger than NBA YoungBoy. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
He the biggest. Just saying, when that little boy get his mind right and he come from under this and understand who he is, cause you know, Thugger and all them, they up in age. They 30, it's 20.
But you think that he going through ain't doing that but helping him to his path to do that though?
Of course.
Yeah.
We put it behind the wall, they become smart.
Yeah.
They ain't making them nothing but a monster.
NBA YoungBoy just pulled a move that nobody saw coming after blasting Birdman, calling him for never loving him. These two Louisiana heavyweights finally linked up in New Orleans, and what went down next had the whole internet going wild. The reunion, the tension, and that shocking twist. It's all too real. Back in 2018, Birdman dropped a bomb saying he was working on a collab tape with YoungBoy, calling it a bridge between generations. And this wasn't just talk for the blogs either. Birdman actually saw something in YoungBoy that reminded him of a young Lil Wayne, and he started hyping him up everywhere. He even called YoungBoy a billion-dollar artist and compared him to Tunchi himself. Let that sink in. Birdman, the same man who built Cash Money straight out the trenches, was out here putting it on wax that YoungBoy was next up, the biggest star in the game. And remember, at that time, YoungBoy was just barely 20, still a young lion hungry for respect. Fast forward to December 2021, they finally dropped that joint project, From the Bayou.
Birdman is talking the most gangster shit you probably ever heard him drop.
I mean, well, that, you know, Birdman gonna talk his talk because he walked that walk.
He's basically saying that, you know, he's totally down to get you killed.
10 tracks, pure fire, hitting number 19 on the Billboard 200. Songs like 100 Rounds and We Ride carried that raw energy. YoungBoy pouring his pain through melody, while Birdman talked that boss talk. It looked like Louisiana royalty coming together, the old king passing the torch to the young goat. But behind all that love and loyalty, something dark was bubbling. Here's the real talk about Birdman that people don't always see. His history with artists got some wild stories behind it. It ain't clean out here. Folks like Juvenile and Manny Fresh been calling Birdman out for years over shady contracts and missing money they say they never saw. But the biggest and loudest case? Lil Wayne himself. He went all in with a $51 million lawsuit against Cash Money back in 2015 over unpaid royalties and album delays. That's not small change, that's serious heat. And get this, Wayne even tried to warn NBA YoungBoy about Birdman way before things got weird. On his 2020 track, Multiple Flows with Lil Uz Vert, Wayne dropped a line that hit harder than most realized. He said he told YoungBoy to watch out for old heads. At first, fans brushed it off, thinking it was just another clever bar. YoungBoy and Birdman were tight back then, dropping tracks, shooting flashy videos, playing that father and son role for the culture. But Wayne, who knew Birdman better than almost anyone alive, saw something that others couldn't. To really understand how deep this ran, you gotta look at what YoungBoy was dealing with during that time. His whole career been wrapped up in legal trouble, starting with a robbery charge back in 2014 that sent him to juvie. After that, it was one case after another: assault, kidnapping, all kinds of legal fire. Then in 2020, federal gun charges from a Baton Rouge arrest put him in serious danger of losing everything. By October 2021, YoungBoy was stuck on house arrest in Utah. No shows, no tours, no freedom, just walls around him. Imagine that, a young star making millions but trapped inside his own house. And through all of it, the big question kept echoing in his mind: where was Birdman? That thought started eating at YoungBoy's mind heavy.
It feels like you have a real good connection with Birdman. You know, you guys done some projects together.
5. You're my 5.
He's a good guy. How's your relationship blossomed throughout the years?
He just dude crazy, like he just talk a lot of shit, and I just like to sit there. And that's my 5. I like when he pop that shit, man.
Yeah. Beatrice.
He been on that nigga too, so that's the same type of time.
Yeah.
Everybody, for sure.
Even then, YoungBoy still showed Birdman love in public, acting loyal as ever. But if you listen close to his songs during that time, you could hear it: the pain, the frustration, that creeping doubt. It sounded like he was realizing all those promises might have been smoke and mirrors. By 2023, Birdman was still standing up for him, or at least that's how it looked. When Joe Budden went on his podcast and called YoungBoy's music trash, Birdman jumped online with threats, telling Budden to shut your mouth. On the surface, it looked like an OG defending his young homie, but deep down, some fans started wondering if it was all just part of Birdman's image game. Behind the cameras, the vibe was shifting heavy, and nobody on the outside could really see it. YoungBoy was dealing with house arrest, federal charges, a prescription fraud investigation, and the crazy pressure of being one of the hottest rappers alive, all while locked down in Utah. He had to sit and watch while other rappers toured, performed, and stacked up bags, while he stayed stuck inside, pacing in his own crib. The same thought kept hitting his mind again and again. Where was Birdman? Where was the so-called mentor who once called him family? Where was the support that was supposed to come with all that talk of loyalty? Here's what most folks miss about this kind of bond in the industry. When an OG like Birdman brings a young rapper under his wing, it's deeper than collab tracks and flashy appearances. There's an unspoken code, guidance, protection, and loyalty when life gets ugly. It's not just about showing up for studio sessions. It's about being there when the system's closing in and your young star's world is collapsing.
Man was also on the tour, like basically every stop. What was him?
From YoungBoy's eyes, though, that loyalty wasn't showing up. He was stuck fighting court cases, trapped in isolation, his freedom gone, his mind heavy. And the same man who once called him a billion-dollar artist seemed more focused on chasing future profits than helping him survive the present storm. The silence started feeling louder than any beat he could drop. Fast forward to 2025, they eventually patched things up in an interview that had everyone talking. But before that piece came a storm, the moment that made the whole culture stop and pay attention. Because in June 2024, YoungBoy dropped Tears of War. And when that track hit the internet, the hip-hop world froze. Every line carried pain, disappointment, and raw emotion. This wasn't just music, it was a public call-out aimed straight at Birdman, the man he once called fam. June 2024 became a turning point. YoungBoy, still stuck in Utah, facing yet another legal case, this time a prescription fraud charge that would later pull in the feds, was losing patience. He'd been locked down for years, forced to watch his success through screens, and finally, something inside him snapped. He poured every ounce of that frustration into his music, and when Tears of War dropped, the message was loud, clear, and impossible to ignore. YoungBoy stormed into the booth and laid down a track that shook the whole rap game, Tears of War. When DJ Academics premiered that joint, the bars hit like an explosion through the culture. The moment he said, "Knew that Stunner never loved me, should've listened to Carter," the internet went wild.
All right, here we go. We got OG3, the founder of NBA, aka Never Broke Again, and older brother of NBA YoungBoy.
You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, where we come from. And it's like the mentality that they see us, when they see us, is like, hold on, let me back, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, we give like that back off, standoffish vibe.
I think now they gonna really understand how I'm coming. Like,
let's break that down for the ones who might have missed it. Stunner is Birdman's street name, been that way for decades, and Carter refers to none other than Lil Wayne, Dwayne Carter himself. So what Ya-B was saying couldn't have been more direct. Birdman never really had love for him, and he should have listened when Wayne tried to warn him about trusting the old heads in the industry. This wasn't a subliminal shot or some coded message for bloggers to interpret. Nah, this was a clean hit straight to Birdman's reputation. The whole industry knew exactly who that target was, and fans felt the sting instantly. XXL magazine jumped on it with headlines about YoungBoy claiming Birdman never loved him, while every hip-hop outlet started dissecting the lyrics like a crime scene. Bar by bar, they connected the dots to years of messy industry history, loyalty, betrayal, and unfinished business all wrapped into one song. Social media went into overdrive. Fans were arguing in the comments, critics were debating motives, and other rappers quietly started picking sides. The timing couldn't have been more dramatic either. Ya-B dropped Tears of War right in the middle of chaos. Federal agents had just raided his Utah home over that prescription fraud investigation, and he was staring down a 23-month sentence. He was at rock bottom, trapped legally, mentally, and emotionally, and that's when the truth came pouring out, raw and unfiltered. There's something wild about that moment when a person's got nothing left to lose. That's when the real comes out. Ya-B wasn't chasing headlines or clout with this one. He was bleeding through the mic. Every bar was pain, betrayal, and exhaustion from years of loyalty gone one-sided. The man was venting everything he'd been holding inside, and what made it all hit even harder, Birdman went completely silent. No tweets, no response tracks, no statements from his people, nothing. He just disappeared into the shadows while the internet caught fire around him. That silence spoke louder than words, and for a lot of fans, it felt like confirmation that Ya-B's bars weren't just talk, they were truth. Some people tried to play it cool, saying Birdman was just making boss moves, staying silent, letting the storm pass, and refusing to feed the fire. They called it taking the high road, and yeah, that's probably what his team advised him to do. Stay quiet, don't engage, and wait for the news cycle to move on. But not everyone saw it that way. To a lot of fans, Birdman's silence didn't look classy, it looked guilty. Because when you've been in the game as long as Birdman has, and someone straight up accuses you of being fake or heartless, the natural move would be to defend yourself, right? You'd think he'd jump online to set the record straight, show receipts, maybe post proof that he'd been looking out for YoungBoy all along. But the fact that he said nothing, no response, no explanation, spoke volumes. That quiet was loud. Either he couldn't defend himself because there was some truth behind Ya-B's words, or he knew that clapping back would only make things messier. Either way, fans were listening closely to that silence, and it echoed through the culture like thunder.
But it likes to work with me.
Why do you think that is? I was singing earlier before we started, your song Blackball is one of my favorite joints of yours. And a lot of your fans would say that you have been like blackballed in the music industry. What does that term blackball even mean to you? Like, what do you think of when you hear that? What does that mean to you?
I don't know, I don't think it's that no more. I think I don't know. That might not be my caliber of person.
But if you thought Tears of War was the grand finale, think again. There was another key player in this story that a lot of people overlooked, OG33. That's YoungBoy's big brother and co-founder of the Never Broke Again movement. And trust, 33 ain't just family, he's the engine behind the whole operation. He helped NBA from the ground up and had been watching Birdman's every move with a sharp side eye. Then in November 2025, during a viral live session, OG33 jumped online and dropped a warning that had fans' jaws on the floor. He said, "I don't care who think they're gonna go around me. Try anything slick, you'll regret it, for real." It was raw, it was direct, and the message was crystal clear. Don't play with his camp, period. The live spread like wildfire, and suddenly, this drama wasn't just between YB and Birdman anymore. It was family-level serious. Like any major hip-hop beef, the industry started chiming in fast. Wack 100, the outspoken manager known for speaking his mind, called YoungBoy a rat for airing Birdman out publicly, saying it broke an unwritten street code. But here's where it got twisted. That same Wack 100 had also been super vocal about how older OGs in the industry use up young artists, drain their energy, and then toss them aside when they're no longer profitable. So his take didn't sit right with a lot of people. It felt like he was playing both sides. To really get why YB's diss hit the culture so hard, you gotta look back at Birdman's pattern. There are whole documentaries and deep dive videos online breaking down how Cash Money Records handled artists' money, and the stories are wild. We're talking Lil Wayne, Juvenile, Manny Fresh, Tiger, the list goes on. When Wayne sued Cash Money, that 2016 court order forced Birdman to cough up his financial records, and what came out painted a messy picture, missing paperwork, unclear payouts, and some seriously questionable accounting. It was crazy. The man who built an empire off young talent couldn't even keep clean books. And now, years later, here comes YoungBoy, the next generation, saying the same exact thing. It was like the past was repeating itself. Only this time, the artist wasn't waiting until it was too late. He was calling it out early, loud, and in public. For fans, that realization hit deep. Birdman's silence wasn't just about one diss. It felt like the same old cycle playing out again, with another young star learning the hard way that in this game, loyalty don't always pay the bills. What made Tears of War hit even harder wasn't just the lyrics, it was the story behind it. YoungBoy wasn't just dissing Birdman, he was speaking from a place of deep pain, betrayal, and exhaustion. The track was actually recorded before those federal raids on his Utah mansion tied to that prescription fraud investigation. And that timing gave every word a heavy emotional punch. This was a young artist who once trusted an OG in the industry, someone who called him family, promised to guide him, and then went ghost when the pressure came down. Unlike a lot of artists before him who stayed silent out of fear, contracts, or politics, YB broke that silence. He let the world hear exactly how it felt to be abandoned in real time. And through all the smoke, he still kept dominating. By 2025, he wasn't just surviving, he was making history. YoungBoy officially became the most RIAA certified rapper of all time, racking up 126 plaques and passing heavyweights like Drake and Jay-Z. That's insane. What makes it even wilder, he did all of that while on house arrest, fighting legal cases, dealing with restrictions, and claiming he was being blackballed by the industry. And yet, he still stayed on top. No label machine, no Birdman connections, no cash money push, just his raw hustle, his fan base, and his will to win. That alone told the world where YoungBoy's mindset was at. He wasn't stuck on bitterness or holding grudges. He had evolved. He wasn't chasing industry validation anymore. He built his own empire from isolation. But just when the story seemed to be turning victorious, it took a darker, more controversial twist. Birdman's brother, Terrence "Gangsta" Williams, started going viral for making wild claims online, talking about strange parties involving young male rappers and dropping names like Lil Wayne and YoungBoy. These allegations had no solid proof and were widely slammed as messy, attention-grabbing nonsense. But still, they added a new layer of chaos to Birdman's public image. Even though most people saw those stories as exaggerated tabloid talk, the fact they even existed started shifting how people viewed Birdman's relationships with younger artists. The whispers built a cloud of suspicion around his name, and that's what made what happened next so shocking.
Grab the hand and down the notebook.
Oh my goodness!
Fast forward to August 2025, back in New Orleans, the city where Birdman built his legacy, where Cash Money was born. Out of nowhere, Birdman and NBA YoungBoy were spotted together on Canal Street. Fans couldn't believe their eyes. The two Louisiana legends, who'd just been taking public shots at each other, were now hugging, smiling, throwing cash to fans, and walking side by side in bulletproof vests with armed security. The footage spread everywhere. X, TikTok, YouTube, the internet completely lost it. People flooded timelines with posts saying they squashed the beef, calling it a legendary moment for Louisiana and praising them for reuniting. But some fans weren't buying it. They felt something deeper was going on behind the scenes, because just a few weeks before that reunion, YoungBoy had received a presidential pardon from Donald Trump. That move wiped away the legal restrictions that had kept him locked down for years. So the real question became, was this reunion genuine love and forgiveness, or was it a carefully timed power move in a city that birthed both their empires? Whatever it was, the sight of Birdman and YoungBoy walking side by side again left the whole culture stunned. Nobody saw that twist coming. For the first time since all his legal drama started, YoungBoy was free. No house arrest, no ankle monitor, no restrictions. He could finally move, perform, and connect with fans face to face again. And when he hit the road, he didn't just go small, he went massive. The Make America Slime Again tour, MASA, exploded across the country, becoming the highest grossing rap tour of the entire year. 42 U.S. dates, over 555,000 tickets sold, and a staggering $70 million in revenue. Every city was packed, every crowd was lit, and fans were losing it finally seeing YoungBoy live again. But here's the twist that had everyone talking. Birdman was there, practically every single stop. When DJ Academic spoke on it, he said Birdman told him straight up that he was on tour to make sure YoungBoy didn't mess up the money. Birdman was out here positioning himself as the mentor again, the big homie, the protector, the one making sure YoungBoy stayed focused and secured his bag. Their reconciliation wasn't just behind the scenes either. It was public, loud, and impossible to miss. At one of YoungBoy's sold-out shows, Birdman was on stage wilding out, hyping the crowd, screaming his lungs out, and showing full support. They even performed We Poppin' live together for the first time. The crowd went absolutely crazy. Fans caught videos of Birdman jumping around, smiling, and turning up like he was part of the crew again. For a lot of people watching, that moment looked real. Two Louisiana legends who'd gone through chaos and found their way back to peace. But let's slow it down and look closer, because the internet split right down the middle about what this reunion really means. On one side, you've got fans saying it's all love, genuine growth, forgiveness, and maturity. They see YoungBoy as a man who's evolved past the old beef, someone who's been through everything and finally found clarity. And honestly, that side's got a point. YoungBoy is not the same 18-year-old who was signing contracts and trusting anybody who called him fam. He's older, wiser, and battle-tested. He survived the system, done time on house arrest, earned a presidential pardon, started a family, and seen both the top of the charts and the bottom of isolation. Maybe he really did decide life's too short to keep carrying grudges. Maybe he realized there's more power in peace than beef, especially when there's millions to make and new opportunities waiting. That's growth right there. That's a man who faced his pain, learned from it, and came out with a clearer vision. If YoungBoy truly meant it when he said he didn't want negativity controlling him anymore, then maybe this reunion really is genuine. Maybe he looked past the hurt and thought having Birdman as an ally beats having him as an enemy. But, and this is where it gets tricky, not everybody's buying it. The skeptics are loud too, and they've got receipts. They're pointing at the timing of Birdman's comeback, how he suddenly reappeared right when YoungBoy's career was catching its biggest wave yet. Right when that $70 million tour kicked off, Birdman was front and center again, on stage, backstage, and interviews everywhere. Some folks think Birdman saw the money moving and jumped right back in the picture, trying to reconnect just in time to ride the wave. To them, it doesn't look like reconciliation, it looks like strategy. And that's where the divide in the culture really lies. Is this story about forgiveness and growth, or is it just another business move in the middle of a billion-dollar game? Either way, seeing Birdman and YoungBoy side by side again after everything that went down still felt like one of the wildest full-circle moments in hip-hop history. Birdman's been out here hyping YoungBoy heavy, calling him a billion-dollar artist and teasing deals worth $200 to $300 million on the horizon. But let's be real, that's not just praise, that's positioning. That's Birdman calculating how valuable staying close to YoungBoy could be. So now the big question hanging in the air, is Birdman really there out of love and loyalty? Or is he setting himself up to cash in on the next chapter of YoungBoy's empire?
Do you think you tap into that emotional side? Because, I mean, I would imagine because of the name Slime Crop.
Yeah, but not too emotional. I don't really get too hurt about things no more.
What you mean?
I don't know. I'm just older now, so a lot of things that used to like hurt me back then used to make me like wanna rap and you know, I just don't like that type of music. I don't go that deep, cause I ain't.
Is this real mentorship or just business dressed up as brotherhood? The truth probably sits somewhere in the messy middle, like it always does with complicated industry ties. There's no doubt Birdman has real affection for YB. They've known each other for years, made hits together, and shared moments that go way beyond music. But that doesn't mean business ain't part of the equation. In this game, love and money are always tangled up. You can't fully separate one from the other. Their reconciliation already started producing results. In 2025, they dropped a hard-hitting joint called That Nigga, featuring Herm the Black Sheep. The track was raw, intense, and loaded with energy. Fans said Birdman wasn't even rapping. He was talking that talk, laying out how things really move in his world. It felt like both of them was sending a message. We back and we running our own lane. But even with that unity, one warning still hangs heavy. OG33's message. YB's brother made it clear as day that if Birdman ever tried to snake anything or interfere with the Never Broke Again camp's independence, there would be consequences. That's not just talk, that's a promise. The NBA crew built everything from the ground up, and they're not about to let anyone, even a legend like Birdman, finesse their operation. So yeah, even if things look cool on the surface, smiles, hugs, collabs, the business side is under a microscope. Every deal, every dollar, every partnership is being watched closely. The NBA camp knows their worth now, and they're not giving up control to anybody, no matter how big their name is. Now, let's spin back to that headline. NBA YoungBoy just bodied Birdman in a New Orleans club. What does that really mean? In hip-hop lingo, body doesn't always mean fists or violence. It means domination, exposure, or straight-up lyrical destruction. And when you look at the bigger picture, YoungBoy did body Birdman, just not in a physical way. With Tears of War, YoungBoy put the entire relationship out there for the world to judge. Every promise, every betrayal, every warning he ignored. He flipped the story on its head and forced Birdman to face his reputation in public. The diss wasn't just a song, it was a statement, a line in the sand that said, I don't need you to make me great, I already did that on my own. So while Birdman might be back in the picture now, make no mistake, YoungBoy's the one holding the power this time. He's proven he can win with or without the cosign, and that's what really bodied the whole situation. YoungBoy made it crystal clear. He felt betrayed, and he wasn't afraid to say it loud. That alone is a kind of bodying, not in a fight, but in truth. When someone gets exposed publicly and has to face the world's reaction, that's power. But there's another way to see it. When YoungBoy walked through the French Quarter after his New Orleans show, surrounded by fans screaming his name, cameras flashing, the whole city showing him love, that's when he really bodied the narrative. Right there in the heart of Birdman City, YoungBoy proved that despite the legal cases, the blackballing, the controversy, and the industry politics, he's the one they came to see. Birdman was in the mix, yeah, but not as the headline anymore. He was a background player in YoungBoy's story. That's the real body right there. YoungBoy flipped the whole dynamic and owned it in front of the world. Now he's got Rollin' Loud 2026 locked in as a headliner, plus a European tour, his first ever international run. He just dropped Slime Cry to wild streaming numbers and already announced plans for 4 new projects in 2026. The man's on fire and nothing's slowing him down. So what's the takeaway from this entire saga, this roller coaster between 2 Louisiana legends? Is this: the hip-hop game has changed forever. The old rules, they don't apply anymore. The days when labels and execs could exploit hungry young artists, signing them into unfair deals just to own their masters and silence their voices, those days are fading fast. A new generation is rewriting the rules, and YoungBoy is one of the loudest examples of that shift. He's part of a wave of artists who refuse to take losses, who know their worth, own their masters, and connect directly with their fans. Platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and streaming services flip the script. Artists don't need the middleman anymore. They can build empires straight from their homes, and that power changes everything about the business. Think about it. When Lil Wayne clashed with Birdman and Cash Money, he was already a superstar, but his hands were tied by contracts and label control. He had fame, but not full freedom. He couldn't drop music on his own terms, couldn't move how he wanted. His leverage was limited because the system was built to keep artists in check. But YoungBoy, totally different story. When he had issues with Birdman, he wasn't fighting from weakness, he was standing in strength. He owned his sound, his brand, his audience. He could drop tears of war whenever he wanted, with zero fear of label backlash. He didn't need Birdman's approval or the industry's. His fan base would follow him anywhere. That's real independence, and it's proof that the power dynamic has officially flipped. That's the message right here. To every upcoming artist grinding in their room, recording in makeshift studios, chasing a dream, you don't have to sell your soul to win. You don't have to accept exploitation as part of the journey. You can stay independent, own your voice, and still touch the world. So yeah, NBA YoungBoy bodied Birdman, but not through beef or violence. He did it by surviving, thriving, and building something bigger than the system that tried to control him. That's the new era of hip-hop, one where the artists hold the keys and the old guard's power fades. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this reconciliation between YB and Birdman is real love or just business dressed as peace? Did Birdman really change, or is it the same game with a new face? Let's talk about it below. Your opinion matters. Until next time, stay tuned, stay real, and keep your grind independent. Peace.